Okay, so today we're going deep. I mean, literally underground into the mountains of Afghanistan. This is a landscape just honeycombed with caves and tunnels, filled with secrets. For centuries, this terrain has been used as a weapon. And during the recent war, it became a place where the line between hard, documented fact and whispered legend just completely blurred. Our story starts in the dark.
This quote, man, it just nails it, doesn't it? In Afghanistan, the fight went subterranean. It became this dark, claustrophobic world where the most advanced military on the planet was suddenly reduced to a flashlight, a pistol, and pure nerve. You can forget satellites and drones. Down there, it was primal.
And this is the environment we're talking about. Look at it, an ancient, forbidding landscape that has literally swallowed armies for millennia. For the soldiers on the ground, these mountains weren't just scenery. They were the enemy's greatest fortress, a battlefield that was hiding who knows what in every single shadow.
So, before we get to the really wild stuff, we have to understand the ground truth, the very real and very, very dangerous war that was fought underground.
A huge part of this subterranean world is something called the Kherez system. Now, these aren't natural caves. They're ancient, man-made irrigation tunnels. Think of them as an underground highway system, built for water. But in wartime, this network became the perfect ghost road for insurgents, a way to move supplies, fighters, and to just vanish.
Now this perspective right here, the view from inside a cave looking out. Just take a second and imagine being the soldier who has to go in. You're stepping into total darkness, you can barely move, and you have no idea if the space is empty, if it's booby-trapped, or if someone is in there waiting for you.
And listen, the scale of these complexes was just staggering. I mean, Tora Bora is the one everyone knows, but places like Jawar Kili were basically underground cities. We're talking hospitals, mosques, workshops, all of it. The US brought in all this high-tech gear to clear them, but the Soviets, well, they'd been there first. They learned just how tough these defenses were and had to resort to some seriously brutal tactics just to deal with them.
And this is where our story takes a very sharp turn. The documented threats were deadly enough, for sure. But out of the fog of war, another kind of story started to bubble up from these same dark places. A story that had absolutely nothing to do with conventional warfare. So let's talk about it, the Kandahar Giant. This is the unconfirmed story, a piece of military folklore that for 20 years has persisted completely outside of any official record.
So, the year is 2002. We're in Kandahar province. The war is still young. The legend kicks off when a routine patrol goes completely dark in some remote mountain region. Just gone. And the mission to find them would supposedly uncover something else entirely. So, the story goes like this. A special ops team is sent in. They find the missing patrol's gear scattered around the entrance to a cave. Suddenly, this giant humanoid figure emerges, kills a soldier named Dan with a spear. Instantly. The team just opens up on it. 30 seconds of sustained fire to take it down. And then, the alleged cover-up. A chopper comes in, airlifts the body away, and the whole incident gets slapped with a top-secret classification. Now, the crucial thing here is that the story has a perfect built-in explanation for its own lack of evidence.
And the description of this creature is incredibly specific. Not just tall, we're talking 12 to 15 feet. It's got these really particular anomalies. 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot, a double row of teeth, and this overwhelming stench like rotting corpses. Now remember these details. They are the key to this entire story.
All right, so after a story that dramatic, the first question is pretty simple. What does the government actually say about it?
Well, in 2016, when this story really blew up online, the Pentagon issued this statement. It is a clear, direct, unambiguous denial. They have no record of anything like this ever happening. No Special Forces member killed by a giant. Full stop.
And that's really the problem with the legend. When you actually go looking for verifiable proof, you hit a brick wall. There's nothing, no mission logs, no casualty reports for a soldier named Dan that match the story. No photos, no physical evidence. The official file is completely empty.
So that brings us to the real question, right? A cover-up is one way to explain it, sure, but it doesn't really account for the story's incredible staying power. So why does this story persist? Why won't it just go away?
Well, the answer probably isn't in combat reports. It's in the interception of ancient folklore and the fog of modern war. See, this story has really deep roots.
So let's just look at the timeline here. Way before 2002, you've got biblical accounts of giants, the Nephilim, some described with 6 fingers and 6 toes. You have Persian and Afghan folklore about giant-like creatures called the div that are said to live in mountain caves. Then, the alleged encounter happens in 2002, and a few years later, it gets picked up by paranormal radio shows and just explodes across the internet. It's a brand new story built on a very, very old blueprint.
And when you put the descriptions side by side like this, the connection becomes crystal clear. The key details of the Kandahar giant, its huge size, living in a cave, and especially those 6 fingers and toes, these aren't new ideas. They are direct echoes of mythological creatures from texts thousands of years old. The parallels are just way too specific to be a coincidence.
So what we're really looking at here probably isn't evidence of a cryptid. It's a perfect example of a modern military folktale.
And what is that? Well, soldiers have always told stories. It's how you bond with your unit, it's how you cope with fear, and it's how you try to make sense of experiences that are just chaotic and traumatic. And a place as ancient, as foreign, and as dangerous as the mountains of Afghanistan, well, it's the perfect breeding ground for legends that give a face to that nameless dread that's always lurking in the shadows.
The Kandahar giant story then probably isn't a lie. It's a narrative that serves a purpose. It perfectly encapsulates that feeling of being a modern soldier in an ancient, mysterious land, fighting an enemy you can't always see, where the dangers can feel almost supernatural.
And really, that's the final takeaway. The Kandahar giant likely never existed in a physical sense, but the story itself tells a profound truth about the experience of war, about the fear of the unknown, the strangeness of a foreign land, and our timeless human need to create monsters to give a face to the darkness.